Good morning, everyone. My name is Juby Marie Suminod, and my task is to describe the ideas of the ancient Greeks on the atom. By the way, what is an atom? An atom is the basic building block of chemistry. It is the smallest unit into which matter can be divided without the release of electrically charged particles. It is also the smallest unit of matter that has the characteristic properties of a chemical element. Atoms are the basic units of matter. Everything in the universe apart from energy is made of matter, therefore, atoms make up everything and the universe, according to the Northwestern University. Democritus believed that atoms were uniform, solid, hard, incompressible, and indestructible, and that they move in infinite numbers through empty space until stopped. Differences in atomic shape and the size determine the various properties of matter. The concept of the atom that Western scientists accepted in broad outline, there is speculation about a hard, invisible, fundamental particle of nature was replaced slowly by a scientific theory supported by experiment and mathematical deduction. It was more than 2,000 years before modern physics realized that it is indeed divisible and that is not hard, solid, or immutable. The atoms of the soul were considered to be particularly fine. Democritus developed his atomic philosophy as a middle ground between two opposing Greek theories about reality and the illusion of change. He argued that matter was subdivided into indivisible and immutable particles that created the appearance of change when they joined and separated from others. The philosopher Epicurus of Samos used Democritus' ideas to try to quiet the fears of superstitious Greeks. According to Epicurus' materialistic philosophy, the entire universe was composed exclusively of atoms and void, and so even the gods were subject to natural laws. Like the later theologians of the Middle Ages, they wanted an all-encompassing theory to explain the universe. Early Greek philosophers believed that entire universe was a single, huge entity. In other words, everything was one. They believed that all objects, all matters, and all substances were connected as a single unchangeable thing. One of the first place people to propose atoms was a man known as Democritus, as an alternative to the beliefs of the Greek philosophers. Democritus suggested that the atoms comes from the word atomos or atomon, meaning tiny, indivisible, solid objects makes up all matters in the universe. Ancient atomism. A number of important theories in ancient Greek, natural philosophy held that the universe is composed of physical atoms, literally uncuttables. Some of these figures are treated in more depth in other articles in this encyclopedia. The reader is encouraged to consult individual entries on Lysippus, Democritus, Epicurus, and Lucretius. These philosophers developed a systematic and comprehensive natural philosophy accounting for the origins of everything from the interaction of indivisible bodies as these atoms, which have only a few intrinsic properties like size and shape, strike against one another. Rebound and interlock in infinite void, the atomist natural philosophy skewed theological explanation and denied defined intervention or design, regarding every composite of atoms as produced purely by materials interactions of bodies, and counting for the perceived properties of macroscopic bodies as produced by these same interactions. Atomists formulated views on ethics, theology, political philosophy, and epistemology consistent with this physical system. This powerful and consistent materialism, somewhat modified from its original form by Epicurus, was regarded by Aristotle as a chief competition to theological nature philosophy. Since the Greek adjective atomos means literally uncuttable, the history of ancient atomism is not only the history of the theory about the nature of matter, but also the history of the idea that there are indivisible parts in any kind of magnitude, geometrical, extension, time, and others. Although the term atomism is most often undefined with the systems of natural philosophy mentioned above, scholars have also identified commitments to indivisibles in a number of lesser-known figures. Often, these are formulated in response of paradox, like those to zero of Elia about infinite divisibility of magnitudes. Some of these identifications of other kinds of atomism outside the main tradition are controversial and based on slight evidence. Leucippus and Democritus said that atoms are widely regarded as the first atomists in the Greek tradition. Little is known about Leucippus, while the ideas of his student Democritus, who is said to have taken over and systemized his teacher theory, are known from a large number of reports. The ancient atomists theorized that the two fundamental and oppositely characterized constituents of the natural world are indivisible bodies, atoms and void. The latter is described simply as nothing, or the creation of the body. Atoms are by their nature intrinsically unchangeable. They can only move about in the void and combine into different clusters. These the atoms are separated by void. They cannot fuse, but must rather bounce off one another when they collide. Because all macroscopic objects are in fact combinations of atoms, everything in the macroscopic world is subject to change, as their constituent atoms shift or more away. Thus, while the atoms themselves persist through all time, everything in the world of our experience is transitory and object to dissolution. According to Aristotle's presentation, the motivation for the first postulation of indivisible bodies is to answer a metaphysical puzzle about the possibility of change and multiplicity. Parmenides had argued that any differentiation or change in being implies that what is not either is or comes to be. Although there are problems in interpreting Parmenides' precise meaning, he was understood to have raised a problem about how change can be possible without something coming from nothing. Several pre-Socratic formulated in response philosophical systems in which change is not considered to require something coming into being in complete non-existence, but rather the arrangement of persisting elements into new combinations. And that's all. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something.